Hey everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to A Vintage Vanity. I am super excited for today's video because, well, you guys are here. And today we are arguably, inarguably, unequivocally, one of those words, going to be sewing up the cutest 1940s blouse I have ever made. And I'm super excited about it. But before we get to it, yes, I impulsively cut off all my hair. How do I feel about that? You know, some moments I really like it. Others I'm like, what did you do? This is the first time I really styled it. So let me tell you, I didn't do a good job. So I'm going to wait for it to grow just a little bit before I have my hairdresser fix it up. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, anyway, this isn't the Jen cut all her hair off video. It is the sewing video. So let's get right to that. One of the things I've been trying really hard to do this year is sew from my stash, but also finish projects that I had started in some cases years ago and just left by the wayside for whatever reason. And I'm trying to get through my closet full of things that need repair. So in the spirit of doing all of that, my first project this year that I decided to do was to actually sew up this 1940s blouse pattern. It is Simplicity's 1590. And I started this probably over 2 years ago. Why did I put it down? I have no idea. No, the pandemic's been going on for 2 years. This may be like 3 years ago. I started this a long time ago and it's just been sitting in a drawer. No idea why I put it down. I went all the way through the process of creating a mock-up, and I was really hoping it was going to be a wearable mock-up because I used this fabric that I love that I had scraps of, and I only had enough to cut it out once out of this fabric. And like I said, I was, you know, if it didn't work out, I wasn't going to be too upset. But now, after having done it, I'm like, I'm so upset it didn't work out. And I absolutely love it. It's a border print, so the flowers get thicker down here. So after doing the mock-up, stuck it in a drawer for 3 years, come back, and guess what? I'm not the same size as I was when I first made this mock-up. So one of my challenges was going to be that the pattern size that I cut out, and yes, this is an argument for never cutting your patterns, but rather tracing them. But I don't think I'll ever be that person. I will always, as long as it's not a vintage sewing pattern, I will always choose to cut up my patterns, which will be a problem for future me when stuff like this happens. So I did have to grade this up from the original, I think it was, oh, you're going to find out soon enough. I think the original was, yeah, the original was a 22, and I graded it up to a 24, I believe. Because again, I'm filming the intro after I've done the project, so I already know how it turned out. Let's go ahead and have a closer look at the pattern. Now, this is a re-release of a 1940s Simplicity pattern. And one of the things that drew me to this was the peplum. I absolutely love it. And I love that it's this high-low peplum, and also that the front piece is actually all one piece. So the kind of fullness of the peplum doesn't start until it hits about the hips. And the other thing that I was really excited about in picking this back up is that I really made a commitment in 2022 that I wanted to make more casual clothes as well, because I do spend a lot of time hiking and being out in nature, and quite frankly, I want to look a little cuter when I do it, right? I want to ditch some of my yoga pants and not so cute tops, and I thought this was a perfect pattern for that. Now, this does come with two different variations. You first have the variation A, which is really just that open boat neckline, and that's pretty much it. And then you have version B, which adds a really, really cute pointed collar to it, but it also isn't a collar that folds all the way down. It kind of stands up in the back, which I think is a really cute detail. And it comes with you can do a detachable bow that just kind of snaps on at the neckline, and at the waist it has a tie. So what version did I end up going with? A little bit of my own version. I really liked the collar in version B, but I really don't like things being right up at my neck. It really bothers me. I know they say that, like, if you don't like that, it means that you were hanged in a past life. So scandal in my past life, I don't know, but in this life I don't like anything up there. So I did decide to forego the little clip-on bow tie so that I could leave the neckline open, because that collar, you guys, I'm not gonna lie, it's good. It's a good collar. It's a good collar. And the other thing is, I'm really not a fan of ties at the waist that have no purpose, and this has no purpose. It's not meant to cinch you in or do anything like that. It is just decorative, because the problem is then when you sit back, you feel that knot of the bow at your back, and I don't like that. So I didn't do that, and I didn't do the little bow tie. But I mean, somebody's not gonna like that I didn't do that, but you know, girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do. Of course, the next most important question is, what fabric did I choose to use for this project? And I am happy to say that I sewed from my stash, and this is a simple cotton that I got from Joann a couple years ago. I don't know, everything feels like it was a couple years ago. But let me tell you, when I found out they had this, I bought all of it, every piece that they had. And they only had 2 1/3 yards of it, and I used just about all of it. Legitimately, I barely have enough scrap fabric left to show you what fabric I chose to make the dress without having to like pull without having to pull the top out to show you. But I love this fabric so much. And it just screams retro to me. It is this black-gray background with all this cross-hatching on it, with the greens and the reds and the gold. And it very much came out at Christmas, so I think it was meant to be kind of a Christmas fabric. But I think with the darker background, it can read any time of the year. Now, this is definitely a very retro pattern, more so a 50s retro pattern, but I have pink hair, so I mean, I'm all about mixing decades around here. So I was really excited to find like the perfect project for this, and I honestly, spoiler alert, love the way this turned out. Now, most of you know with my sewing videos, I don't typically do a step-by-step process of them, but rather vlog style to kind of walk you through a few different areas of the sewing, things that might be a little trickier than normal, or things that if you are sewing up the pattern that you might have questions on. And for this, I really kind of focused on, again, grading up the size. Now, we are going to do it a little bit differently than I traditionally do if you've seen any of my other sewing videos where I pattern grade. So this one is done a little bit differently, and this is great for when you want to go from one size to the next size. This is very difficult to do if you want to go up 2 or 3 sizes, but definitely if you're just sizing up one, or maybe if you're just expanding one area of a pattern. The other thing is I really kind of wanted to do a little bit of focus of putting the peplum actually on that front piece, because this is a very odd pattern piece, and I feel like you see this a lot more in vintage patterns than you do more modern patterns, like these odd pieces, which can be sometimes a little challenging if you're newer to sewing. You know, I can't say that that's entirely true since I don't really sew with a lot of modern patterns, but those are kind of the focus with a few other things that I threw in there. I did find this to be a really easy sewing project, which was super nice. And of course, once you've kind of got your pattern done, you can whip out these blouses super quickly. And this is a really good project, I think, for people that are kind of getting into sewing tops, because it is a jump up to do a circle skirt to doing a blouse. can be a little more challenging, and I think this is a really good first blouse project. And one of the reasons is because there is no set-in sleeve. It is a dolman sleeve, which makes it a little bit easy, not just for sewing, but also for fitting. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of putting it all together. And to do this, you'll need to enter into negotiations with your cat over use of your sewing table. Please, sir, I will give you 4 fish of fillet for 1 hour of sewing. Is that acceptable terms? Ah, I see you're interested in, ah ha ha, these terms were acceptable. Something to transfer the pattern onto, the pattern piece you're transferring, a bunch of pattern weights, a ruler, and a pen. You'll want to make sure you're leaving space around the pattern to expand it. It seems like a lot of pattern weights, but you want to make sure your pattern is nice and flat. Basically, what we're doing is anywhere that you see that there are size gratings is where we're going to expand the pattern. So down here at the bottom, there are no pattern gratings, so we're not going to worry about over there, or there are none over here. So the easiest thing to do is start with that and then just trace your pattern. You'll want to make sure you're transferring any of your markings as well. We're going to start with the easier side, which is over here. You can tell on the pattern that each size, the difference between each size is exactly the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance between those sizes. There's a 1/2 inch difference between each size on this. So all we're going to do is line up our ruler with the edge of the pattern. Hi. Negotiations failed. You're coming back to bringing it back to the table. We're going to place our ruler at the very edge of the pattern. So we're at that 1/2 inch mark, and I line up on both sides and just draw a line. As we get close to the shoulder, you'll see there's more of a curve. So instead of doing long lines, we want to just do short marks. So I'm just going to work on this side of my ruler and not go all the way down because we'll miss part of that curve. And I'll just do it every like 1/2 inch or something, making a mark. And take that all the way up to the top. And then you can either freehand that to match up all the little dashes, or if you have a curved ruler, you can lay that on there until you find a curve that matches, and then just draw that line like so. And then down at the bottom here, I just extend the line from the bottom out. We want to make sure that we measure each area where the pattern is extending for sizes, because you never want to assume because this was 1/2 inch that this will be as well. And let's go ahead and measure that. And yeah, this turns out to be a 3/8 of an inch difference. Again, I just kind of draw out 2 ends to meet. And there is a slight curve to the shoulder here, so I am going to do just small markings and then connect my markings. Okay. Do the same thing over here at the neckline, and this is about 2/8. And you'll notice that this tapers down, so we're going to want to stay aware of where that tapers at. And to transfer darts, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. You can kind of slow crawl the paper up or puncture little holes in here and just transfer your pen marks. Or if you have one, you can take a tracing wheel. This has the little spikes on it, so that will actually make little tiny punctures on the paper that we can just transfer. And then of course you want to transfer any of the writing on here. Then all we have to do is cut it out. And then we're going to repeat the process for the front piece. And this may look a little more complicated and a little confusing at first, but really it's the same that we did before. We're just going to be extending the pattern at the side, the shoulder, and the neckline. You'll see on this little tail piece that it's already marked and cut for the larger sizes of 20, 22, and 24. Once again, you want to make sure you're measuring the difference between the sizes before making your markings to make sure you're extending it the proper amount. Again, you want to make sure you're transferring any of your pattern markings and then cut it out. You guys, I almost forgot to tell you something I'm super excited about, and that is the monthly live stream is coming back. In fact, it's coming back on Sunday, January 23rd, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central Time. And to help me bring it back, my best gal pals will be joining me, and that is going to be Jael from Modern Retro Girl and Heather from How to Be Fancy. Yeah, you know, links are going to be down there. The new monthly live stream is all centering around favorite fashion looks. So every month I'm going to be inviting 2 people to come on, and we're going to talk about our top 10 fashion moments from particular icons. And I'm really excited to be launching it with not only 2 of my favorite people, but we're going to be kicking things off by talking about our favorite top 10 fashion moments from the gorgeous, the iconic, the hysterical, the beloved Betty White. And we're mainly going to be focusing, because our love of vintage fashion is mainly like 50s, 60s area. So we're kind of be focusing on those decades. But you know, you never know what could happen. You'll have to tune in to the live stream. See you there. Everything is pretty much cut out. We have the back piece, we have the 2 pieces for the front, the 2 pieces for the peplum, the 2 pieces for the collar, and the 2 pieces for the front facing. And now it's time to just put it all together. After stitching the neckline and reinforcing the corner of the peplum area, I moved on to sewing up my darts. I sewed up the darts in the back and at the bust line, but for now you will leave the waist darts in the front alone for the moment. Those will be addressed once the peplum has been sewn onto the top. From there, it was simply sewing the shoulder seams and the side seams. Then I moved on to the peplum pieces and sewed up the center back. Now we are going to attach the peplum to the top, and the instructions can be a little confusing, so I thought I would share with you how I do it. I am going to start on the back because, quite frankly, it's easier. So we're going to start with the 2 notches on the back, and we're going to match it up with the notches on the peplum, and you want to do this with them right sides together. So we're just going to go ahead and pin that all the way around until we get to the front. Now that the back is pinned, I'm going to stop pinning and actually move on to matching up the front section here before I pin the rest of it, just because this peplum has stretch in it and we want to make sure everything is matching the way it's supposed to be. This is where it gets confusing because it tells you to match the dots here so that you can sew it up properly. But guess what? There is no dot here. So what I did is that I marked 5/8 of an inch in on this edge and 5/8 of an inch in on this edge. And where those 2 5/8 meet is actually where the dot would be if there was one. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to place my pin right through the dot and then match that up here. I am going to pin that down. Now what you'll notice is that here it's gaping. All you need to do is pull out your pins from your back because again the peplum stretches. So if you can kind of see that stretch there. So you're just going to redistribute your pins and I'm going to start here. What's important to know that even though you are stretching this peplum to match up properly, you want to make sure that your stretch is not a strain, so that you're just gently kind of pulling on it to fit. and not like pulling really, really hard and straining the fabric to make that fit. Now that everything is pinned on, we're just going to stitch from the small dot marking all the way to the other side. We're just going to ignore this side of the peplum. That will get stitched together in the next step. Now we're going to put a pin in that real quick. I know, it's hysterical, right? Because it is time for us to stop and share the love. That is the time in every video where I stop and I share a creator with you that I think you are going to love. You're always going to find their links in the description, and today we are sharing the love with Haley Marie Vintage. Now I know you guys love vintage sewing videos, so you're going to love her. She does vintage sewing, she does hauls, she does unboxings, and she is utterly charming. If you like me, you're gonna love her. If you don't like me, you're still gonna love her. So go ahead and when you're done with this video, check the link in the description and go say hi to Haley. I just wanted to pop in real quick to let you know that yes, those are the waist ties you are seeing there. I didn't film actually putting them on, which is why they're not included in the video. But again, I really didn't like them, so I ended up removing them. Now we're going to be doing the dart and sewing up the edge of the peplum all in one step. So let's turn it to the wrong side. With it on the wrong side, the first thing that we want to do is we want to cut our corner here so that we can turn everything properly. So all we're going to do is take our scissors and there. All right. So now we have our dart marking. So just kind of ignore everything else and just kind of try to do your dart like you would normally do. What I normally do is I kind of pinch everything together, flip it out. I put a pin at the top of the dart. I do one at the bottom of the dart. And then I make sure it lines up with the other side. And then I do one or two in the middle of the dart. So the dart is all taken care of. Now we concern ourselves with the actual seam. So now I'm going to start by lining up my notches to begin with. And then I'm going to line up the end. Because we clipped that corner, everything will just kind of fold to the inside really nicely. And then I'm going to place a pin right at the junction of where all that, that messiness sits. And then I just kind of want to look at it from the other side, make sure it looks good, nothing weird is sticking out. And I also want to make sure that my tie is in the right direction so we don't sew it down the wrong way. And then we're just going to sew this like a normal dart. So we're going to start at the bottom with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, which will head up onto our dart. And then we just sew off the edge and then tie the knot at the edge. And that's it. Really not so bad. It feels super confusing and super messy. Just take it one step at a time and it's really not that bad. It is all stitched up and I went ahead and pinked all my seams as well. And I think it's looking really, really good. Here's the other side of it. So you have the dart there and then it joins with the peplum here and then the tie is here. Oh, it looks so cute. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the facing on and then we're going to put the collar on and then we're almost done. We would just have the sleeves and the hem. It is all sewn up now, and I know you guys are ready for the big reveal of it, but here's the extra bonus. Here's the little treat. I liked this so much, and I love how it turned out that I actually ended up sewing up another version of it. So not just one reveal, you are getting two. We need to have a serious conversation about how much I am in love with this pattern. I think the cut is flattering on any body shape. It is such an easy sew, and I love that peplum, that front part of the peplum is completely straight because it puts all the volume at the hips and in the back, so it doesn't give bulk where bulk's not wanted. I know it sounds silly, but I even love the way the collar lays. I love how pointed the collar is. I love the fact that it kind of stands up in the back and you can kind of pop the collar and not feel like you're in the 80s wearing like an Izod, right? It's so cute and it's so super comfy. Now, I will say that I did make it a little on the roomier side just because, again, I want that comfort level because I want to also be able to wear these out in nature, doing things. Sounds like I'm going to work out in it, but it's not. But you know what I mean? It's just like, you go to the campfire, you want to be, I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah, you do. You know what I mean. I immediately made another one, and this one, like the mock-up that I showed you at the beginning of the video, was made with scrap fabric from my skirt line that I used to have, and this is an Alexander Henry print that I absolutely love, which the last time I checked is really hard to find, but it's so adorable. It has these little animals drinking cocktails, and it's just very retro, and I love it. And I am so happy with how that turned out because I think it looks really good paired with a slim skirt, and I just love it. I just love it. And I feel like it opens up the range of silhouettes that I can wear. And the other thing is I do have a skirt made out of the same fabric. So I was like, hey, perfect pairing piece. But the one thing I will say, it is a little too much bulk around the waistline to wear with a gathered skirt. But here's the thing, I tucked it in. And now it looks like it's like a shirtwaist dress. And it looks so good. And I'm so happy. Oh my God, I am literally giddy over this. So that is it. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video, and I of course love hearing from you, so go ahead and let me know those thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what version of the blouse you like the best, and of course if you've sewn this pattern up, I'd love to hear what your experience with it was. And if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really does help with the algorithm. And of course, before I let you go, a huge subscriber shout out to Liz White. Thank you so much for liking, watching, commenting, and just being a part of our cozy little online community. It really does mean a lot. And of course, if you're going to miss this space between uploads, be sure and follow me on all the social media as a Vintage Vanity. If you'd like to keep watching more of me, go ahead and click the video that you see right there. If you don't want to miss any future videos, go ahead and click the subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.